in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you about the current topics. And today our topic is role of youth in politics. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. Vote bank politics has put the future of our youth in darkness. Many initiatives were taken in many schools to develop the interest among students to enter Indian politics. The field of politics in India is usually perceived as something that is not suited to the educated masses, and this perception is being changed by many school students who take up the idea of politics as their career and help promoting the cause. One moment, please. Somebody is not muted. One moment. Mr. Anu, please mute yourself. Sorry. The field of politics in India is usually perceived as something that is not suited to the educated masses, and this perception is being changed by many school students who take up the idea of politics as their career and help promoting the cause. In 2004, 50% of the Indian population was aged 30 years or younger. However, only 35 out of 543 Lok Sabha members, that is 6%, were aged under 35. Nevertheless, the World Value Survey showed that the proportion of people aged 18 to 24 who identified themselves as very or rather interested in politics was around 50 and an increase of 15% since 1990. 1.9% of the world's members of parliament MPs are aged under 30, up from 1.6% in 2014. Furthermore, 14.2% of the world's MPs are aged under 40, up from 12.9% in 2014. In India, trend of Lok Sabha getting older. The proportion of MPs below 40 years of age has steadily declined from 26% in the first Lok Sabha to 12%. All major political parties have youth and students wings, such as Indian Youth Congress, Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, and Democratic Youth Federation of India, etc. A campaign by Young Indian Foundation has been raising awareness on the importance of youth rights and the essential representation they need in a country with over 670 million people below the age of 25. Young India Foundation is also leading in the age of candidacy campaign, which is working on decreasing the age of candidacy in India from 25 to something lower. Elections in 25 years, which implies half of the youth population is not eligible to contest national elections. In contrast, at the age of 21, a person is eligible to become an Indian Administrative Officer IAS, to be the person with the most power in a district bureaucratically. Similarly, at the age of 17 and a half, one can join the Indian Navy and the armed forces, and at 17 you can join the Air Force. So in a way, at about 18 years of age, you are old enough to fight for your nation and represent the nation at international borders, but not old enough to represent the youth and participate in decision making in the parliament. If colleges can create engineers, doctors, then why not leaders? As per a report by Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, ASSOCHAM, of the approximately rupees 4 to 5,000 crores total advertisement and publicity spent in 2014 Indian Parliament elections, the digital platform can expect to garner at least 400 to 500 crores. Please mind it, this is of 2014 figures. So one can imagine in 2019, definitely the digital platform value or the spend has definitely increased drastically. The target audience are predictably the youth, many of them first-time voters. Structural interventions can help as well. A number of countries like Morocco, Pakistan, Kenya, and Ecuador set aside seats in their legislature for youth leaders. After all, if reservations can be provided to a range of ethnic and caste-based groups, why not for the youth? Countries like Ecuador, El Salvador, Senegal, Uganda, and Burundi have lowered the minimum age for candidacy in all legislative elections to 18. In Bosnia, if no candidate receives a majority in the election law awards the seat to the youngest candidate. El Salvador actively conducts campaign in schools encouraging young people approaching the age of 18 to run for office. Kenya has announced a national youth policy in 2006 and a national youth act in 2009, both of which encourage greater electoral participation for the youth. In addition, our political structure ideally should offer multiple avenues for political empowerment. Municipal and panchayat polls should give rise to leaders who have experience at the ground level. Such leaders, after some experience, should be able to run for the state and eventually the central legislative seats. After all, this is how leaders are found in healthy democracies. Political parties need to actively consider reservation for aspiring youth from non-political backgrounds in certain positions, along with rolling out initiatives to induct professionals into mainstream politics. Younger politicians understand what a youthful India needs and what their aspirations are. Political parties should be encouraged to provide space for such leaders to grow on merit. And to discuss today about the role of youth in politics, we have youth youngsters with us. I would like to invite first my guest. She is Miss Tanuja Meben. She is BA LLB, MA English, MSc Counseling and Psychotherapy. She is the director of Foradar Academy. She is the co-founder of Basil Cafe, trainer, counselor, and therapist. I welcome Ms. Tanuja Beman. Ms. Tanuja Beman, you have heard what I have mentioned in my report, which clearly shows that whatsoever we are talking and whatsoever we are doing for youth, it's only on papers, because youth have no significant participation as far as the mainstream politics in India. Rather, the whatsoever the age of youth, if the MPs of youth were there in the first parliament, there is a decline, and that decline is drastic in the latest parliament. So it means that very few youth are representing us in the parliament or in the legislatives. Now, we would like to know from you the role of youth in politics. Ms. Tanuja Meban, please.
I'm very well, I go with the youth who has to take over the democracy, or they have to take up a prime role in leading the country. For example, if we have a different arena, take it for an education, take for a job career. If you look into that, I would say that the youth are very, very clear about their goals, very, very clear about their insights about what they want to become, what they want to have. So when they can now, for example, they will be eligible to vote at the age of 18 years. That means they know what kind of leader they should have. When they know what kind of leader they want to have, they also know that what are the qualities a leader should possess. When they are very clear about it, it is obviously they would like to have that leadership qualities within them. So when they have in the college, when they have ABVP, as you have said, there are many organizations which will build up their leadership skills, which will obviously they will get all the skills what they require. In today's world, what is required is digital world. You should have knowledge about social media. You need to have the digital. You need to have the writing skills. These are the skills which is required in this world. And you're all very good. If you, for example, take people from my age, we are not that fluent, and we are not that competent enough to be in these fields. But you're very good in that. So when the second line has been given an importance, of course, people always say that it's an experience. They don't have that experience, but I wouldn't accept that. Experience comes as we are given a chance. You are ready to take up the challenge. You are ready to take up the risk. In that case, you will also learn on the go. So the youth has to be given the prominent role to take up leadership, to take up the role where you can lead. So this is what is required, and India has to go forward. As we have seen that there's a lot of age difference, a gap. The average Indians, I think so that it is only 26 years something, but what we have, the real leaders in the main line is about 60, 65 years. So there is a huge gap in between, and we need to fill that gap. That's what I would like to say.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tanuja, for giving your views. And you have very strongly recommended that youth should participate more and more in the government, in the parliament, so that they can take proper decisions. And according to you, the experience, the youth are also experienced. What we used to say that the older generation, the seniors are more experienced, but according to you, youth also have the experience, and definitely they are far ahead as far as the digital era is concerned. Thank you very much, Ms. Tanuja, for giving your strong views about the youth. Now, I would like to call my first youth guest, and he is Mr. Sumit Pal Sharma. Mr. Sharma is working on essential oils and multiple product exports with reconstituted natural substitutes of sandalwood oil and khas vetiver. He was educated at Sindhya School, Gwalior, and Bhagat Singh College, Delhi. Mr. Sumit Pal Sharma, we would like, you have heard what Ms. Tanuja has mentioned and what report I have given. Now, we would like to know your views as far as the role of youth in politics is concerned. Mr. Sumit Pal Sharma, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for having me here. Uh, I was listening to you very carefully, and I would want to elaborate what you've said, but put in certain inputs that I've picked up. Yesterday, I was reading somewhere in 2020, the average age of an Indian is 29 years. 65% of our population is below the age of 35, 50% below the age of 25. So, I mean, it is hypocritical if you let people above 50 decide our futures. When 65% of this country is below 35, it is it isn't obvious that they have to lead, and they have to be the ones who formulate policies, because it's their future that's on stake. And also, that's a majority block. Being in a democracy, if 65% is below 35, their representation has to be much higher than the other age groups, because it's their future that's at stake. Now, coming at the role of youth in politics, I am not from a political family, but I've been associated closely with people who indulge in politics. I've been associated with a few campaigns as well. So, what I have noticed personally is that politics as a profession, or politics as a way of being, gives you a lot of experience about the secular life that we live in. So apart from we securing our future, it also opens up our avenues, our paradigms, because there is so much more, the canvas is so much more larger than we experience in our own everyday lives. So it is imperative that the youth, which is 65% of our population, which has everything at stake, comes into politics, puts their views forward, and takes the bull by the horn. Now, let me put a point to you. We sometimes, as friends, we meet, we chat, we talk over things, and we feel frustrated about what's happening around us. Now, my view on this is that instead of feeling frustrated of what's happening around us, why don't we join in and why don't we make an effort to take things forward the way that we want to? And it is only us and our age group, when it decides to take the plunge and take it forward, will things improve or will things become the way we want to? So it is imperative that the youth gets into politics. It has to be that way. There's no other way out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. You want to say anything or shall I move?
No, my first point is clear. I've put in my
Okay,
first point.
fine. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Although Mr. Sharma also says, and he has given an interesting figure. He says when 65% of the population is below 35 years, then why their decisions about what they should do and what they should not do decided by those who are not in the majority, but of the aged group. You are right, Mr. Sharma, but the problem in India is that when the election comes, then the youth votes for the elder people. So if the youth decide to vote for elder people, then to complain about that we are not coming in the power, that is the fault of the youth, not the senior person. Yes, Mr. Sharma, you want to make any point in that?
That is why I finished by saying that when we meet, when we sit on our coffee tables and we
Hmm.
criticize the environment around us,
Hmm.
we have to realize that it is us who needs to take the bull by the horn, take the
Hmm.
plunge and take it forward. That is why I
Okay,
said this when ending.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. So let's see in the next elections that how you are going to catch the bull or whatsoever. Okay, let's see because whatsoever we are talking today, youth, but the condition in India is it is declining. The youth power is declining. The youth age-wise, the youth majority or the number of youths are increasing in population, but the youth in power is declining. Either they are not interested in politics, that's why they are going for other fields, but otherwise to say that the seniors are not giving chance, it is not like this. Youths are not voting for their own youths, those who are fighting. That is the reality which you might have seen in the recent elections. Now I would like to go for my next youth guest, and he is Mr. Suhash Shenoy. Mr. Suhas S. Senoy has worked in the solar renewable energy sector for 4 years. He worked on providing livelihood opportunities for underserved communities with Celco. He had mentored and conducted several outreach programs for rural children and youth on various environmental topics. He had also designed lab manuals for Karnataka Polytechnic College. Mr. Suhas Shenoy, please give. You have heard Mr. Suhas Shenoy about what I read the report Ms. Tanuja has mentioned and Mr. Sharma has mentioned. Now, we would like to know from you the role of youth in politics. Mr. Shenoy, please.
Yeah, good morning, all. So I echo myself with Mr. Sharma. What Mr. Sharma just said was what was on my mind too. So basically, when we sit together and discuss, we have a lot of things to discuss that something is not going right or something that could be changed. But there are very few that actually get themselves involved. But in a country like ours, what we have usually found is we are given a chance to speak, but most of the times the voice is not heard. Especially also what Mr. Goel you just said, the youth is not supporting the youth itself. So this is one thing that we have to remember that in India, what happens is we as a youth or younger generation or young people they enter politics and they try to be in the surroundings, say they go for campaigning, they go for they try to be a part of a political party or sometimes even individuals, but the point there is it takes time for them to actually come to the front bench. Okay, when it comes to the front bench, they are over there 35 or close to 40s. This is what has been happening. We have seen a lot of examples in the past few decades that people start up young, but when they come to power, it is they are no longer considered youth or they are no longer younger. So this is what has been happening. But in the past decade, we have seen some changes happening. We have seen If you look globally also, we have seen a few younger politicians. Say the recent Finnish prime minister, a young lady, she was just 34 years old, and it is doing good for the country. The country is actually more happier with the present, with the change in the mindset. So that this is one thing put into order. The other thing is that what is happening is the youths are there, but what's happening is people who already have a political background or political influence, these are the younger people who come into politics. Only the people, or majority of the people, who already have a political background or someone with a political influence. People from other streams of life, it's very difficult for them, because they would have their own life's agenda going on side by side, and they try to get into politics. We are working for the betterment of the party, or the betterment of the society in itself. But by the time we are given that opportunity to actually contest, or if it's independent, it's very difficult. In our country, we have seen it's very difficult to actually contest as an independent candidate. Being an independent candidate, people with very influential political influence also could make it much higher. But when you're starting up new, it's very difficult to start up alone. So usually people tend to go with the parties or some big gathering. So even then, it'll take time for you to reach there. So this, what we have to do is, we need that platform, especially in a country like ours. We need one platform where the youth can take a leadership. Say, I'm not telling give us the top priority. I'm telling, give us one priority where the youth can talk, and the voice of the youth is heard and implemented. Now we are heard, but it's not implemented. Many things are not implemented. So the youth more than ever is interested in politics as of now, but the chance is very, very feeble, according to me. So this is what my concern is on politics, and this is an overview of what I think of the youth, the role of youth in politics. Thank you, Mr. Goel.
Thank you, Mr. Shenoy. And he says the chances of youth to be in active politics is very feeble, according to him. And he has also mentioned that whenever any youth wants to become a leader, it takes time. And when he becomes leader, he is not remaining youth. But Mr. Shenoy, this is not the fault of elders, because there are two types of person. One is a leader, one is a follower. If you want to be a follower, if youth wants to be a follower, then they will remain follower always. But if you want to be a leader from the very childhood or very young age, definitely the opportunities are there. One can become leader. It's not like this. Second point he has raised is the nepotism. Yes, nowadays we are hearing so much about the nepotism in film industry, Bollywood, etc. But the only problem is how many youth leaders have come forward to discuss openly. Either they are having fear, or they cannot express their views. So just to blame the elders, I don't think that is a correct thing. The youths have to come forward. They have to come forward. They have to take the lead, and then they can say, no, we are ready. We have these our views on these policies. Until unless you will not have the study, you have not the proper knowledge of a particular subject. When you are talking of politics, you should know how to administrate, what is the foreign policy, what is the financial conditions. Then only you can be termed as a good leader. Don't follow those leaders who were earlier, who were not even knowing how to sign, and they become the education minister. That era is gone. Now it's your era, when everyone has to be educated. He or she should know how to talk, and how to write, and how to control, and what knowledge is required to run a particular department. Then only you can become a leader. So for that, I think the fault lies with the youth, not with the seniors or the elders. You have to change yourself. You have to become a leader. Then only you can say tomorrow that we are not getting chance. Thank you very much, Mr. Shenoy, for your giving your views. Now I will go to invite my next student youth guest, and she is Miss Mansha Ashraf. Miss Mansha Ashraf is a very focused youth who is very swift in getting things done. She is into poetry, oration, and debating, along with her academic pursuit for excellence. Mansha believes the youth can make the changes in society. She is very much a front runner in those efforts to make a better tomorrow in the nation. Mansha had participated in Model United Nations events many times. Welcome, Ms. Mansha, on our show. Ms. Mansha, you have already heard your earlier panelists, and they have given their views are very clear that they are not getting chance to enter in politics to become a leader, and that's why they can't do anything. They are trying, but elders are not either allowing them, or one of the panelists says that it is because only those youth can come in politics who have some family already there in the politics, and a panelist says that we have to change ourselves. We talk, but we cannot do the in practical. So all those things are there, but we would like to know from you the role of youth in politics. Miss Mansha, please.
Thank you, sir. जब कभी भी जिक्र होगा जहां में तौर जिंदगी का, हमारा नाम याद रखा जाएगा कि कुछ लोग थे जिनके इरादे टूटे नहीं थे लोहे के हथौड़ियों से, कि कुछ लोग थे जिनके ज़मीर बिके नहीं थे ज़ारदारों के कौड़ियों से, कि कुछ लोग थे जो टिके रहे थे तूफान नूर के गुजर जाने के बाद तक, और कुछ लोग थे जो जिंदा रहे थे अपनी मौत की खबर आने के बाद तक। भले भूल जाए पलक आंखों को मूंदना, भले भूल जाए ज़मीन अपनी धूरी पे घूमना, हमारे कटे पैरों की परवाज़ को, हमारे फटे गलों की आवाज़ को याद रखा जाएगा। ये जो नज़्म है ये आमिर अजीज की लिखी गई है। And who is Amir Aziz? Amir Aziz is me. Amir Aziz is you. Amir Aziz is us. He is the youth of the nation. He is India's today and India's tomorrow. Our very fight for freedom, the very genesis of free India, has been witness to the sacrifices made by countless revolutionary youngsters, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Sukhdev, Rajguru, just to name a few. It is only fitting that we participate in the politics of a country that we helped build. According to me, a country is not its land, water, or air. It's the people that make the country. And in a country like ours, where more than half of its population comprises of the youth, of the Gen Y, as they call it these days, why is it that our decision makers or our leaders are twice or thrice elder, twice, thrice years older than us? आप ही देखो, हर करियर में, हर फील्ड में सीनियर सिटीजन बनने के बाद तो रिटायरमेंट होती है, मगर पॉलिटिक्स में वहीं से करियर की आगाज होती है. And this is exactly what we need to change. You see, I would like to cover 3 topics today. Why is it that the youth of this country isn't participating in politics? Why is it necessary for them to do so? And what is the current role of youth in politics? I believe that politics is a very misunderstood field. And amidst this misunderstanding, it has lost its sense of dignity. So if I stand in the street and ask people around the same age as mine what their idea of politics is, what politics is to them, I'm sure a lot of them would map politics to corruption. And that is the problem. We aren't questioning this corruption. We're accepting it as a part of the system. And this isn't the only thing we're accepting. We're accepting discrimination. We're accepting lawlessness. We're accepting impunity as being the norm. And this is exactly what we have to change. We can't accept these things. We need to bring about a reform in it, and we need to do it. We need to take a step. Secondly, there is a lot of people, a lot of the youth today are indifferent to the situation in the country, whether it is a communal riot, a bomb blast, or a flood. It just fails to awaken the Indian within them. And if a child is interested, let's take, for example, a child is interested in politics. What so often happens is that every other Sharma ji or Dolly auntie wants their kids to be a respected doctor or engineer working abroad, while they sit on their armchair and find faults in the country, in the current system of the country, instead of allowing their kids to enter the system and help reform the system. Coming to the second point, why is it so necessary for the youth to participate in politics? You see, we live in a changing world. We live in a world that is constantly evolving. Just yesterday, things seemed so normal, but today everything is online. I mean, look at us having this conference from miles apart. And who better to adapt and embrace change than the youth? The youth can bring in what Indian politics desperately needs: a fresh perspective. You know, the youth have it in them. They have the confidence, they have the readiness, they have the energy to bring about change. And this same energy is not seen in the older generation because they like to stick with the status quo, something that is predefined, something that is in tandem with the norm. The Sarfaroshi ki tamanna that Bhagat Singh spoke about is exactly what is lacking in the older generation. Now, coming to the most important point, what is the role of youth in today's politics? The role of youth is not limited to having a career in politics, but they need to, Indian youth, whether a politician or not, pass their vote responsibly. They need to question, criticize the government. They need to provide suggestions and be involved in shaping a new and better India. I'm not telling that we must preclude the veterans from politics. Their experience is like a lighthouse guiding the ship. With the strength required to propel the ship against the waves, that's the youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ansha, for giving your strong views. And you have mentioned about Sarfaroshi ki tamanna. How many youths at present you are talking of somewhere in 1920s or 30s of Shahid Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, and Chandrasekhar Azad? What about today youth? How many they have the Sarfaroshi ki tamanna among themselves? That is the problem. We always quote, we always live in the paradise of that our youth icon, Shahid Bhagat Singh. Yes, he was youth icon. But here, where are the youth icon of this generation? Why we only take the name of past? If we are taking the name of past, we should think of today. Yes, you have make a very good point. You said that the present generation, Sharma ji or Dolly auntie, etc., they just find out they want that their children should be an engineer or a doctor or settled abroad. But why? After all, youth when you have a voting right from 18 years, you can very well say, no, I want to enter in politics. Now, third point you say about that one should criticize. No. Why to criticize? If you think that this policy of the government is not correct, what is your alternate? Have you got any alternate thing to be suggested that instead of this policy, this is the right policy? Like I will give you an example of new education policy 2020. How many youth have worked out and sent any suggestions openly discussed or sent to the government and make a representation that this policy, here in this policy, these are the flaws, and according to us, this policy should be like this. After all, that policy is going to decide the future, the fate of the youth of India, and not now for next 20 years. But I have not come across any of the youth. Yes, seniors are discussing. They are saying that new education policy implementable is not there, whether can be implemented or not. These things, the funds are not there. But how many youths you have heard publicly? I'm not, see, privately, as Mr. Sharma has mentioned, privately on coffee table, you can discuss. But you have to think. Plus, once you are a leader, you should not think of your own self. You have to think for the younger generation than you, the new generation, which is going to come and take over you as a youth. That generation, because this new education policy, in many people says very, very good. But I have not come across the views from the youth. And if you want, definitely we can keep a program on new education policies in the eyes of youth. We want your views because that is the leadership. To criticize something is very easy, but to give a positive ideas, positive suggestions, that is what we require today. Even the political leaders want that some positive suggestions should come. And our Honorable Prime Minister was always open whenever he comes out for a speech speech on 15th of August or 26th January, you might have seen that he always asks the opinion from the public. So at that time, you should give their suggestions. Yes, if nobody is listening, then you have a right to mention. But to criticize always the elder generations or the political leadership is, in my opinion, is not right. But yes, decision is of you because you are youth. Thank you very much, Ms. Mansha. But
With
you are,
all due
yes, yes.
respect, sir, can I follow up?
Yeah, tell me.
Yes, sir. So the first thing about there not being any youth icons
Your
is
voice is,
the
yeah.
first poem I read in the beginning was from a youth of this generation. Can you hear me? Yes. So it was written by the youth of today. And we have youth icons. We have Kanhaiya Kumar. We have Sheila Rashid who are raising their voice. Whether we agree with what they're saying or not is secondary. But as the youth, they are taking a stand for what, they're taking a stand for what they think is right. And secondly, when I speak of criticism, I speak of positive criticism. And in a democracy, I think that should be more than welcome. It is good criticism. It is not an accusation. It is rather helping, helping the nation grow in that sense. And
Yeah.
if it be about the education policies, I think we're looking at the wrong platforms on places like Twitter and Instagram, where the social media is actually, where the voice of the youth is booming, is where people put out most of their points of view these days. So I'm sure it's there, but maybe we are looking at the wrong platforms. With all due
Okay, Ms.
respect.
Mansha, you might be right about the Twitter and others. Definitely, it might be there. But one thing is there, criticism is always welcome. But you must give the alternate, because it's very easy to criticize anybody that, see, elders are not giving us chance. But suppose the chance will be given to you. What is your roadmap? How you are going to govern? How you, if you will be, suppose tomorrow become MP or MLA of a city, of a district, how you are going to govern? What differences you are going to make? That is the point. Thank you very much, Ms. Mansha. I'm sure that your viewpoint will be definitely taken care by the seniors, and will definitely see to it that it should come in the forefront. Now, I would like
Thank
to
you so
invite
much,
my
sir.
next, thank you. I would like to invite my next youth guest, and he is Mr. Aditya P. Nayak. Mr. Aditya P. Nayak is currently pursuing his second year in law at KLESLC. Mr. Aditya has been a part of debating circuits spread across the country for 8 years now. His interest and areas of work range from drafting policies, handling compliances to environmental action. He strongly believes in competency of the youth in transforming today, hence also teaches law at Professional Coaching Institute. Welcome, Mr. Aditya. Mr. Aditya, at one in your profile, initially it is mentioned that you are a second year student of law. And in the last, it is mentioned that you are teaching and professional coaching institute law. Is it contradictory, or I am just reading wrongly? Mr. Adit, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
So it's not contradictory. Actually, I teach law. At the same time, I am also learning law. So I teach the law of contracts, constitutional law for CA Foundation and CS Foundation. So I currently teach at two institutions, two institutes. So that's what I do. So I have my profession and I have my education, and I think the youth can maintain a balance between the two. They can fund their own education, and I think that is the youth of tomorrow.
Very good.
So with that, I would like to begin my talk with drawing a reference to what Mansha said, what Sumit sir said, what Suhas sir said regarding the involvement of the youth in politics. And also what Mr. Goel sir suggested, that the youth of today is not actually making any suggestions to the policies and legislations in place. They do not have a constructive say in public policy. So what is the whole point of criticism? So I would like to beg to differ in that prospect, because I am a youth myself who indulges in making suggestions to policies right from the environmental draft, the AIA draft of 2020, or the national education policies, or even state legislations for that matter. So I've been sending suggestions. I've been working in policy myself. So I would like to beg to differ in that particular aspect. Now, as far as this whole conference, this whole dialogue, this whole discussion is concerned, I would like to use 1 minute in order to just explain what an opinion is and what a constructive opinion is. Now, if you go about 10 to 15 years down behind, you would be normally looking forward to people who have a certain degree of expertise in their field or who are the best in their field, and you would want to go and take their opinion. And then further, 10 years down the lane, it further de-escalated. And then we started taking opinions from people like doctors or people like lawyers who are professionals in their particular field. But after the internet revolution, everyone has an opinion, be it on social media, be it on WhatsApp, or be it on public domain. Every single person has an opinion. Every single person wants to start a blog page of their own.
I think we can't hear you, Mr. Aditya. Your net is weak. So I would like to move to another panelist. We would like to hear you once you will back again. And my next panelist is Mr. Anup Siddhanar. Mr. Anup is an MBA from JKSHIM. He is currently working in Manipal Technologies Limited, Bangalore as manager marketing. Mr. Anup, you have heard whatsoever your earlier panelists have mentioned. Now, we would
Yes.
like to know from you the role of youth in politics. Mr. Anu, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. So, coming to the role of youth in politics, the youth and politics are, in fact, two different words. When you speak about youth, certain ideas come into your mind. For example, youth is all about vigor, energy, and enthusiasm. And when it comes to politics, for example, there are different connotations about politics. I want to keep things very simple and straight. I'm going to speak a very common man's language. For example, if politics as such, if it is in a negative connotation, it is all about false assurances. People say it's not for educated masses. And some people say about its self and party-centered activities. And other also say, have the view politics means gray-haired people, 60 plus, 50 plus, or even 70 plus, sitting in the parliament or in the esteemed offices and running the country. These are negative connotations of politics. Coming to the positive connotations of politics, politics is all about policy making. Politics is all about making frameworks, taking decisions, and it's a nation building activity. Now, how nations are built? There are so many aspects when a nation is considered. Of many aspects, framing policy is one of the most important things. In fact, when it is taken officially, who frames the policies? Those are the politicians. And who are these politicians? They are the elected bodies. And who elects these politicians? It's in the democracy, it's common people, you and I. So now coming to the role of youth in politics. This particular idea has a very vast meaning in itself. For example, a role of youth in politics, it can be direct or indirect. In common man's terminologies, indirect role of youth in politics is go to this one voting booth, cast your vote and come out. Many of the youths are not doing that also. That is a different thing. And coming to the direct involvement of or the role of youth in politics, just to make it simplify, make it simple further down, let me say in this way. Let us have some background for this. For example, consider politics as a school. Okay, there are so many other schools of thoughts and ideologies. Just as an example, consider politics as a school wherein class 1 to class 10th, there is this show is going on. Way back 20 or 30 decades ago, we consider them, they joined kindergarten or class 1 or class 2 then. Now they are in the verge of getting graduated. They're moving out to the next levels. And there are no new entrants. And this is a serious concern. This is a very serious concern. As Mr. Goel talked about the age limitations or the entry age for different professions, and about considering the other statistics, there are very less youths in the mainstream politics. This is one of the key things. And let me tell one thing, Why is that only gray-haired people are in the decision making or policy framework, etc.? I'll come to that point later on. See, for example, if for me, when I was in school, if I am to learn alphabets, I have got 3.5-year-old kid. He is learning alphabets, and for someone to learn alphabets and to learn to write a software for a computer, it takes a number of years. For framing policies and policies that work and framing policies that work for people at large, it takes a lot of understanding. This is not just like I go out and I feed, I do this, I do that, and it's done. No, it's a very serious matter. We need to get into this. We need to go to the roots of it. Then we need to understand. So this particular thing is a time-consuming process. Now, how the youths are can be in actively participating in politics. For example, how there are new entrants, okay, and there can be in two ways. One, a particular person born in the family of politics, and there is another new entrant. For someone to be born in a politics, his father or forefather has started somewhere in his younger age. That has to be the thing. And someone directly entering the politics now out of his passion, out of, or might be some situations has made him to take the decision. He wants to be the change driver. He goes out and does it. So again, coming strictly to no, what do you say? Distilling down it to the most bottom level, direct roles can be of entering the politics, mainstream politics directly out of his own interest, passion, and situational grounds. And second thing is that youth can come together. For example, let us not talk about the prevailing system. Let us accept it, whatever it is. Let the policies are there, fine. There is already a system right from Zilla Panchayat to the Prime Minister level. There are so many layers that with due respect to what all has been done, because somebody has given their lives into it. Let us first try to understand. Okay, let us form certain groups and understand societal problems, environmental problem, the issues. Then let us see what are the loopholes we consider it as loopholes. Whether they are actual loopholes, they are there or not, no, we don't know. We take guidance from the seniors, because let me tell you, a person has spent 20 years on a chair, has got immense experience. He has fought so many battles, and he is a man of knowledge. Let us be humble, let us form the groups, let us understand the policies, let us go to them and try and understand and have a positive conversation with them and study the issues, then come out with the proposals and then give it to the government. You can contact the local corporator or an MLA or an MP, or straight away write to the Prime Minister or the whoever state head. We can do that. This is active direct participation. And there are also other ways in which I want to be a contributor. For such youth, I'll tell you, they can form certain groups, reach out to schools, colleges, and then create awareness in a very positive way, create awareness, bring people together, and then try them to tell how politics can be made as a career. This can also be done. In my understanding, there has to be a humble start, take experience from elders, prove your mettle, try to be sensitive to the situations, act upon it. Action is very, very important. As Swami Vivekananda himself says, take up one idea, make that idea your life, think of it, dream of it, let your brain, muscles, every part of your body be full of that idea, and let live every other idea.
Okay.
This is the
Okay.
spirit of greatness. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anup. Although you have doubted the competency of youth, you said that the youth, the policy makers should be those who have experienced and whatnot. But Mr. Anup, you have forgotten one thing, that whatsoever today, like today we are doing on Facebook or WhatsApp and whatnot, what were their age when they have invented, when they started? Are they so old? Number one. Number two, or the youth have no confidence in their own ability. They cannot, because if a youth can become a doctor tomorrow, and if he's treating and he's treating a patient, it's a matter of life and death. If an engineer is building a bridge, there is again a question of, if the bridge is faulty, so many lives can go. So when youth can do all those things, why not youth can also frame the policies? After all, we cannot underestimate the youth power. My point of view is that youth, either they are not interested to come in politics, number one, or if they want to come into politics, they are not clear. They just want to come for the sake of either a position, power, money. They are not coming just to serve. As one of the panelists gave the reference of Shahid Bhagat Singh, how many of youth in present time have seen the jail, have gone to the jail protesting the wrong policy? It is not that all policies are good. Might be some policies are wrong, but nobody wants to go, no, because they feel fear. So earlier, if anybody wants to come in politics, this is one of the criteria even to go to jail. Because if a politician thinks that no, I will be just sitting in air conditioned room, drafting the policies for all the citizens, sitting here comfortably enjoying the power with all pomp and show, then that the politics, then though we are happy with whatsoever the present time is there, then why we require such type of discussions that you should come in politics? But if youth has to come, like one has given some example of the youth leaders of present time, how many we name, you can name 10, 20, that's it. Is youth power. When we are saying that 65% of the population is below 35, so it means those who are in minority, they are ruling youth. That is the point. Anyway, thank you very much for giving so elaborate this thing. I think Mr. Aditya has come back. Mr. Aditya, I would like to add something what you have this thing last time, because your net has gone. Yes, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Aditya.
I
Yes, Mr. Aditya. Yes.
Yes. So I was talking about the quality of an opinion or the value of an informative opinion. Now, I would like to further emphasize on the recent discussion that has been over Article 19 of the Constitution, the right to opinion, the right to express oneself. Now, there are certain restrictions placed on dissent in this whole setup, which I would not call anarchical or autocratic, but a democracy which is not absolute in nature. Now, I would like to further emphasize on something that has not been touched upon, that is the involvement of the youth along with values of a family. Now, when we speak about involvement of a youth, now I'm a person, I would like to speak out of experience, because if I deplore any knowledge that is available on public domain, then this conference would mean nothing. So I'm a person, just like Sumit sir earlier stated that he has worked in association with political parties. Similarly, even I have. Now, the problem over there is that one side, we are speaking about elders coming into politics because they carry experience, they carry the metal that is required to endure things that political parties or political leaders undergo. On the other hand, we say that the youth is too under experienced. They lack the experience to make policies. They lack the experience to become a good political leader. At the same time, I would like to oblige to that line, because on one side, you have youth presenting their opinions or entering into dialogues in the comment sections of posts on Facebook and Instagram. And their activism is limited to making WhatsApp forwards. But at the same time, I would like to disagree that experience is required in such a huge quantum to make policies, for the very reason that legislations are made with a prospective effect along with the retrospective effect. So as long as you're making it applicable to previous scenarios, you're also making it for the future, which means that you need a person who has an insight into the future rather than into the past. And that is one of the important insights that I would like to draw. In addition to that, I believe that my family values, or what my parents have taught me, have come a long way in my experience of either drafting policies or teaching students, or at the same time, even working with political parties. Now, when we speak about Indians, there is one famous thing about Indians, that Indians are very smart and Indians can gain a lot of knowledge. And at the same time, what is infamous about Indians is that they cannot give up habits easily. For example, the habits of turning up late. For example, the habits of not maintaining the chivalry in public. So we have such habits, and habits are inculcated at home. And such habits, I think, should improve from home itself, and the knowledge and the insight should be dropped from home itself. Like all the other speakers said, that first at homes you prominently tell your your children to probably pursue something like medicine or engineering or even get into law. But then you don't want them to get into politics, because politics is a dirty profession. Politics hurts your reputation, reputation of your family, reputation of people who are associated with you. What they don't understand is that they say that these are noble professions, they cater to the public, but the whole definition of a politician is being a public servant. And that is what is being misinterpreted in the current context. Now, when you talk about politicians, you say that it's the whole system that is plagued and it's going to take a lot of time to repair the whole system. But the whole system is made out of these doctors, these engineers, and these lawyers. If they do not pay the bribe, if they resist, then who is there to stop them? And that is one insight I would like to drop. In addition to that, each and every person likes they like Bhagat Singh, they adore Bhagat Singh. But the problem is they do not want a Bhagat Singh in their own family. Now, that is one important observation that we have to make with the trends that are surfacing. And in addition, I would like to end my talk with a small anecdote. This is a story from the Mahabharata, so that people don't tell me that I'm an uninformed youth and I'm not aware of the heritage and culture of this country. So there is one important theme to it. It says that qualities become the soul of a person and knowledge becomes the body of the person. So this important whole story or anecdote from Mahabharata basically has one motto, which is also there on the Supreme Court, on the gates of the Supreme Court of this country, which has been given the responsibility to protect the rights of each and every citizen in this country. So basically the story goes like this. When we talk about Mahabharata, we talk about this particular woman who is the most powerful of all. Not even Draupadi can equal her, and that is Miss Gandhari. And Gandhari is known for her sacrifice, and they state that she even tried to protect her son till the best of her extent. And when he went to war, when Duryodhan went to war, he went to Gandhari and told her that you sacrificed so much. You sacrificed so much for your husband, you sacrificed so much for your children. So you have the power, and if you bless me, I'm going to win the war. And she blesses him, but she doesn't bless him to win. And she makes these statements. She says, Yato dharma, tato jaya, which means that the person who walks in the path of dharma shall prevail. And this is an important statement that we have to use, especially the youth in the context, because we have misinterpreted a lot of things, including dharma. And dharma is something that integrates people and not differentiates or discriminates between people. And that is why I say that the qualities that are incubated or the qualities that are imbibed or incorporated at home become important in a person's development, because that is what he's going to carry in the long run, because they constitute as habit, and whatever he learns just becomes merely his body. A person might have a doctorate, but in soul, if the person is discriminative in nature, that makes no point. And that applies to youth as well as the elders in this country. So all in all, the statement that I would like to make, that the participation of the youth is there in politics. They're there on platforms which are not considered as substantive or constructive. So the need of the hour is to channelize this into something constructive, substantive, as a lot of the panelists said, so that the people start taking you seriously. Because if you go with blatant accusations, blatant statements, blatant opinions, misinformed opinions, uninformed opinions, no one is going to take you seriously. And that is one statement with which I'd like to end my whole talk on the involvement of youth in politics. And I rightly identify that youth participation is there, but then the need of the hour is to make it substantive. With that, I'd like to conclude, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aditya. And you have mentioned that youth are participating, but they are not participating the way they should do. But the only thing, the problem is that if, as the panelist has mentioned, about 65% population of youth, and you know, their election commission has come out with a nota thing in the voting. So just to blame that people have elected so and so, we never wanted or we wanted, why the youth are not using that nota if they feel that these candidates, whosoever has been the candidates of different parties, are not suitable, then you already have a power. But again, the youths are divided. Once youths are divided, then to talk about that youth power, unless youth have the unity, then only anyone is going to hear you. And I'm sure the political parties, their agenda is very clear, to divide the youth. The same policies which Britishers used to have, divide and rule, the political party, irrespective of whatsoever party, whether BJP, Congress, or left or right, whatsoever, they have a clear agenda to divide the youth, then only they can rule. If youth are all together 65%, then tomorrow you will find the total change of the seats or the candidates or the MPs in the parliament. But when you are divided house, how you expect that the elders will not enjoy on behalf of you? Thank you very much, Mr. Nayak, for giving your inside views. Now I would like to go to my last panelist, and she is Miss Vaishnavi Ji Narale. Miss Vaishnavi, a second-year student who is currently pursuing computer science and engineering, has always been an enthusiastic volunteer of many non-profit organizations. She has attended many camps, and been part of organizing team of such camps since childhood. From being a best NCC cadet of the battalion, being a national level athletic, taekwondo and other sports player, to being a Rashtrapati guide, have been a leader and have gained enough experience and exposure for understanding any given situation and handling it. As aspiring to be an entrepreneur and social server, believe in improving oneself and helping others as real joy. Welcome, Ms. Vaishnavi, on our show. You have heard what all other earlier panelists have spoken. Although you have mentioned that you are going to be an entrepreneur, so you are not entering in politics, but still we would like to know role of youth in politics.
Yeah.
Ms. Vaishnavi, please.
Namaste all. So I have three main rules, the role the youth can do in the politics as per my view. I would like to start by saying empowering the youth can empower the nation. That is the power of youth. India is the world's largest youth population. So if we all come to the cause working together, the probability of bringing the positive change in the nation is very high. So if I come to the word politics, for me, politics is just setting up the policies, which makes sense as making up something, the principles of action and the frame of work, which can support the majority of people. Am I audible? Okay. So maybe the family, or maybe the institute, or maybe making the nation to run it smoothly, to have the set of work in the favor of majority of people is very much necessary. And like, can I? Yeah. So first, we being the youth, it's necessary for us to understand how the policy is made, how to set the framework for the politics, how the solutions should be formed for the nation. So the ignorance of understanding these things is the main cause for us leading into irresponsible activities like not even going for voting. How unfair it is for having the democratic country, being in a democratic country, having the democratic government, having the right to vote our representatives and not voting. So it's necessary for all of us to choose our representatives. The second vital responsibility for us youth is to not blindly follow a single leader. Instead of voting according to caste, creed, or religion, we got to think. We got to think for ourselves. We got to think what is good for us and what is good for the people around us, and then elect our representatives. If we come to how to elect how to know who is the best one, if we come to how to know who is the best one, we live in a generation where with one click we get all the information. So we got to do little of work and know what the party has done in the past 5 years and what it is doing now and what it is promised to do in the next years. And is these things bring good things for me and people around me. So here in the political system, we are not the spectators who sit back and look what is happening in the politics. We are the players. We are the people. We are the players and we are the leaders. Every youth is a leader who leads. Every youth is a leader who leads this developing country to the next level. So it's the responsibility of every youth
उसकी बैटरी
to
भी
be a
गई हुई
good
है.
leader. And finally, one last necessary duty of every youth is to take out that negative thought from our mind. The politics is corrupted. That thought should be taken out. Yeah, maybe it was corrupted or it is corrupted. It's okay. But we youths have two options in front of us. One, to be an old commenting spectator and let the things be how it is, or take that one extra step and come forward in taking part in direct politics and parliament stuff and bring the change we are striving for. It is really not difficult to bring the change if we all youths come together, because we are in an era where we have all the resources, we have all the powers we need for rising above the problems like poverty. We are in that threshold which was never before. So like if we youths come together for next 10 to 20 years for the cause of changing, for using the political power in a democratic way, then definitely we can take India to the very next level of well-being. And adding to this, we Indians have a special power of spiritual science from our ancestors. With combination of the certain level of well-being and the power of spiritual science, we can contribute in a huge way to the society, like not only for our country but the whole world in bringing the peace and brotherhood. So it's all in our hand, the youths of our country, to take up that one extra step and come forward and bring the peace to the world. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Vaishnavi. And you say the extra step has to be taken. Now, when, and what extra step, that the time will tell. Now, my question to Ms. Tanuja is, Ms. Tanuja, you have heard all the panelists. Now, the panelist says that the chances are not there, that the youth is saying, rather, I will use the word youth, and the chances are not there, the elders are always there. And one panelist mentioned about the 65% of youth population below 35 years. Now, take a scenario that every political party, they have members in millions. Now, it means their members, or those who are the members of that particular political party, there also the youth is the same percentage or bit less, not even say, if it is not 65%, it might be 60% or 55%. But I am sure the majority of the members of a political party are again youth. Then why there are no youth tickets? Why they are not? It clearly shows it is not that the parties are different, so nobody wants to give the youth a chance. Youth are not interested to take the responsibility themselves, because if they are the members of a political party, if they are in majority, which they have to be, because if the population of youth is so much in the country, in proportion, definitely the population will be there in the political party. Why they are not protesting on that level? Why they want to say, criticize after the elections that, okay, our representation is less? They can very well say, we are 65% in political party X. In this political party X, we must have 65% MP candidates from youth only. If all the political parties will do like this, all the youths will do in the political parties, then there is no problem. Tomorrow, you will see 65% representation in the parliament without any reservation is required in the country. What you say, Ms. Tanuja? Please unmute and say.
Yeah. First of all, I want to tell here is we have elders and youth. Now, when I was married, or sometimes some years back, when we have to go for a delivery, we always see to it that a doctor is already married and have a children. This used to be the thing when we were there. But now, do you think that it is the same thing existing now? No. If a doctor even is young and he is good in his profession, people wouldn't mind to go to him. That means there is a shift of faith. That means that we have believed that youth can be outperforming than what used to be before. Now, the second question is, what is this youth doing here? Now we said that he told that 65% of youth are there. But now, are these youth are identified in each local authority or in a local vicinity where they are living? What is happening is we look into the gutter and we say that it is stinking and who has done it, why it has done it. We have all this criticism towards it. Rather, we wouldn't get down and get it done. We wouldn't go there. We wouldn't do there. Are we sitting inside the room and doing the debate? Are we having a lot of information and going into the Twitter and Facebook and here and putting across our ideas? Or are we getting into it or implementing, or these things, that information what we have, is it becoming our lifestyle? That we need to question. It could be nepotism, that Rajiv Gandhi or this Rahul Gandhi might have come as, because he's in the family. Navajot Singh had come because, anybody.
Miss Tanuja, Miss Tanuja, no names, please. This is, I
no,
told
what
in the
I'm
very
saying
beginning.
is,
No,
yes.
no, sorry.
Yes.
I can also give examples of others.
Okay.
So please don't do like this. You might be of any political party. Yesterday, I have done a program on RSS, but I was very clear. No names to be given. Okay, so
I'm
please
sorry.
don't give the names.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So
please
we
go ahead.
have different demolition. The people have come from different arena with their, caliber, with their career, with their whatever it is. So there is something leadership within them. So now when we talk about youth, are we equipped with that leadership? Have we taken the association? Have we taken up our, what we say that, different organization in the schools and colleges? Have we made an impact and have we made a name in that particular organization? When we have taken the leadership, we know that what are the qualities which is required. When we look into the, when we take up different roles and different positions, there is a quality which is developing in us. So what I want to say is, do we have that leadership skills? To sitting and talking, or to, we are giving the information is very easy. So if we have made an impact in our life, of course, we can voice our opinion, we can give a constructive criticisms, we can go ahead with that. So I would say that, every drop of water will make an ocean. So similarly, every leader in every corner, when the youth takes up, that makes a stronghold in India.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Tanuja. And her view is very clear that youth is only talking, making their points on Twitter or other social media. But are they implementing something themselves? If they see the one gutter is not in place, so are they putting that cover themselves, or they are just waiting and writing on Twitter, clicking photographs, putting on the social media? See, this is the problem. That is what she says, and that is right also. Until unless you will not show your strength by doing something, only just putting like we have seen so many WhatsApps that if their accident takes place, nobody bothers to take the victims or the accident victims to the hospital. They are just clicking the photographs, putting on social media, or even the media channels we have seen, they are asking how you are feeling now, without talking, without saying that the person has to go to the hospital. Now, same thing I am asking you, Mr. Sharma. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Sumit Sharma. What Ms. Tanuja has mentioned, that youth is very responsible very intelligent, they can take action. They are like she has given an example of the doctor, that now we are going for a young doctor also, and youth are having the knowledge and whatnot. But the today's youth, according to her, is only basically confined their views on Twitter or social media. They are not interested to come in field themselves. Practical means I'm not say she has not said for everyone, but mainly. So until unless all the youths will not decide to come up, they cannot come in the politics easily, because for politics you have to come in the front, you have to come in the social life, you have to see to it that the things should be right. Instead of criticizing, if you will do it yourself, definitely the things will change them. What you say about this, Mr. Sharma?
Okay, Mr. Goel,
And I'm giving you one, not more than 1 minute now to each of you.
please give me 2 minutes, because there are two parts
I
to this
doubt, because
answer.
others will has to. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. Now, as ma'am said before she came onto this social media thing, we were talking about political parties. I want to make it very, very clear that we have to understand that no political party is going to back you. For the political party, what is of utmost importance is to win an election. They will only back people who they think is going to win them that seat. So to expect something out of a political party is living in dreamland. It's never going to happen. I completely agree with what ma'am said about the youth indulging in social media rather than on ground realities. I would want to quote Mansha and Aditya. Not quote them, I was listening to them, and I was listening to them very carefully. You know, the problem that's happened, as ma'am said, is with technology, we have a double edged sword. The outreach has become so far. I mean, we can connect with so many people through social media that we don't think it's important for us to be on the ground. Wherein, in my own personal experience, it is of utmost importance that to understand things and to understand what's trending on social media, we need to be there on the ground, pick it up and take it forward on the ground. A social media can give you a hashtag, but it will never lead you to the ultimate goal. I will get back to the leaders of today who have gray hair, who are above 70, without naming anybody, but just going on to the latest elections that happened in Bihar. The CM, the incumbent CM, who's become a CM again and who's beaten a youth who was very popular, is a man who in his youth participated in a lot of andolans himself. He did not confine himself to his drawing room, to a chopal or to a khatia under a tree like the yesteryears, and where we would sit and gossip about topics. He went out there. So this is a mistake that we made. If we look at their experience, how these people have grown, whether they come from a political family, whether they don't come from a political family, I am not being critical of anybody here, because nepotism to me is an overrated topic. In public domain, if you are good enough, you are going to get recognition. If with your permission, I can give you two names, not being critical, just to give examples. You're not audible, sir. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Not audible.
Please don't give the name.
Achha,
Please don't
so
give the name.
I will not give names, but I will talk about two prime ministers without naming them. There was a prime minister.
Please be brief. Time is short, very short.
Achha, achha, theek hai. So I would conclude by saying that I agree with ma'am that we have to be on the ground, in the field, interacting with people, being out there like a Bhagat Singh, or like in today's times, like a CM of a recently concluded election, and participate in everything actively rather being active on social media, because social media can only get us to a certain point. It is not
Okay.
going to take us beyond anything else.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Suhas, do you agree with Mr. Sharma or Ms. Tanuja? Your views about this in 1 minute, please.
Yeah, I'm with a little bit on the both the sides, but more towards Mr. Sumit. Actually, the thing is, I agree with what he said initially. If you can win an election, they will back you up. So this is what is going on. And speaking on what Mr. Tanuja said, uh, when you talk about people, people usually tend to generalize, and when you're talking about the youth, you generalize that as well. So not everyone, not everyone on in the youth, or not all of the youth is active on Facebook or Twitter or WhatsApp. So there are people who are actually working on the ground, but not confined to one particular party or one particular policy. So me myself, have worked with a lot of people in the society, but we are not confined ourselves to any political party or any political agenda of sorts. So, and most of it is not on Twitter or Facebook. So Twitter and Facebook is one means of getting people to know what you are doing. So this is one. So my suggestion is that you cannot generalize youth, saying that it's not just about talking on Twitter or doing that. And there have been a lot of campaigns
Okay.
of small, just a few seconds,
Yeah.
small groups of people, youths especially, cleaning the beaches and gutters and all that. But it's not publicized. That's all. So that's what I would like
Okay.
to
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Mansha, please. Please unmute yourself, Miss Mansha. 1 minute. Please unmute. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Tell me about what yes, your views.
Yes, I completely agree with the previous speakers. I do agree that, see, according to me, social media is just a platform. Nowadays, everything happens in social media. Even the campaigns for votes happen on social media because that is a platform you can reach a lot.
Your voice is not clear.
All right. Am I clear now? Am I clear now?
Better.
All right. Thank you. So social media is just a platform to reach people with similar opinions, to form an idea, to form groups. And but the work obviously needs to be done on ground. You need to have hands-on experience in, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to do to better the system, you need to be there. You need to do it yourself. You need to do it in person. You can't do it for social media. However, it is just a platform to engage with more people with similar opinions, to get to know opinions of other people, and to inform yourself.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Mansha. Mr. Aditya, please. Please unmute and just 1 minute, please, only.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
So I'll just negotiate 1 minute and 10 seconds. 10 seconds to just let to know that I have a right to opinion and I also have a right to reserve my opinion. And further, when I speak, when I have to refer to other speakers, I would like to fully agree with one point that nepotism is quite overrated, and nepotism in politics is quite, I mean, it's almost quite redundant, because political parties, again, they want to win elections. And history has been evident that nepotism and politics has not actually worked, except for the first few years of independence. And in addition to that, I would also like to emphasize on the fact that there is involvement of the youth, and the on-ground involvement of the youth is taking place, but then it's not being highlighted as much as how much political parties are advertising and publicizing themselves individually and not the campaigns and the policies. So with that, I would like to end my opinion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Anup, please. Please, Mr. Anup, your views.
Sir.
Huh? Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, in my view, understanding what's happening on social media, reading the newspapers, and being sensitive to the surroundings is very important. Along with that, we need to get to the field and work and see to that the things take the shape, the ultimatum. And as Mr. Sharma rightly said, you'll be recognized if you are good enough. So everything is important. You need to think, you need to act, you need to work, you need to feel. Use all the faculties, be good and do good. This is what I want to say.
Yes, yes. Now I think sir's internet is out, so we will wind up. Anybody is remaining to talk? Anybody?
Vaishnavi.
Yes, please, Vaishnavi, please bring forth your views, please.
Yeah, I feel youths are not taking part because they don't have the confidence or something. That confidence isn't there in the present youths because we don't have that training from the childhood. Like as said by Aditya speaker, like when we have that culture built in our family since the childhood, that experience, that exposure is enough to face the world in young age itself. not necessary. Like we get experience only when we come to the field and then get. Even those politicians had entered before, because maybe it because of family or something. Only then they got experienced. So it's necessary for us to just come out. We have that culture. Just got to come out and explore it. Thank you.
Now that I got a chance to step in, I would like to present the model of Gandhiji, that without position, passionately working and waiting for mandate and then do nothing, and we can choose. And I think the forum now discussed, let us do what best we can do, and actually, naturally, we will turn to become leaders. I think that's what the outcome of today's discussion. So I suggest Ms. Tanuja to conclude the session in a minute.
Yeah. To conclude, I would say that, Vaishnavi, I just want to tell you that, of course, the young age matters, but there are a lot of opportunities for us to grow, for us to, to build up develop ourselves. Okay, so there are a lot of forums, lot of organizations which helps us to grow. As you see, when I was young, I wasn't this way. But because of taking the roles I'm in all the organizations. So every organization has helped me to grow in one or the other way. And when I said that social media, yes, we require social media. But being you as a youth, there are two things which you are in a hand. One side is the social media. Another side is getting into the ground, as Sumit Sharma has told. Yes, end of the day, if you have to win, you need to make your name in your place first. Have you done your impact in your place? People recognize you as a leader. The first thing what you have to do it. Once you have done that, getting into the next step in the ladder is easy to move on. So with this, I thank Mr. Goel and also my good friend Paulus for giving me an opportunity to come over here and listen to the youth, what you are all feeling. Okay, we may not feel that because we have all grown up and our mind is only in the old fashioned and the old generation, but it is good to listen to you and what is there in your mind when you open up. It's a very nice moments for me. These are the treasured moments which I would carry. Thank you very much for all the participants over here. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much. Since the sir is not there, we all need to leave the meeting one by one because sir is not ending the meeting. He is not online now. So let us leave the meeting and end the session. Thank you, one and all.